Why do you think NASA and our government, I thought that NASA is part of our government, is so afraid to admit the truth about Mars? Well, that's a question in general. I have not shown today, I think. I showed it yesterday, the VA-243. I showed it today? No, yesterday. Well, there is a cylinder seal in the Museum of the Ancient Near East in Berlin that depicts, it's called a mythological scene because it shows the god of agriculture granting the plow to mankind at the beginning of agriculture. And as often happens on other cylinder seals, the background is decorated with celestial images. And on that particular seal, catalogued as VA-243, there is a depiction of a solar system with a sun, a star in the center, surrounded by planets. And when I compared it to what we know about our solar system, it shows exactly our solar system up to and including Pluto, referring to a previous question, in the correct order, the correct sizes, etc., plus one more planet, which is the Nibiru that comes and goes. So I obtained from the museum a photograph with permission to print it, and wrote about it in the 12th Planet and some subsequent books as well. That this is our solar system. In the course of the years, astronomers, members of the establishment, were shown by people like you this particular part of my book in the cylinder seal, and it's in the museum, and it's known where it was found, and it's known that it's from around 2500 BC, almost 4,500 years ago, and astronomers were asked, so what is it? One case, which is not the part I wanted to tell you, well, I'll tell you that part too, but one instance was, and I get a fax about it, one astronomer, a well-known astronomer, a respected astronomer, who was shown that, says, well, this is definitely a depiction of a solar system, a star, a sun surrounded by planets. But there's no way that the Sumerians, as Sitchin claims, 4,500 years ago could depict it, that they knew it. So what is it? So therefore, it must be of a depiction of another solar system. And I get the fax with this answer by this astronomer. And I took the fax and wrote on the margin, wow, wow, wow. Does he realize what he just said? He said, there's no way the Sumerians could be familiar with our solar system. But they were aware of and could depict another solar system which may or may not exist somewhere. So when this was shown to him, he realized that he said a stupid thing, and he eventually wrote a book and devoted a relatively nice chapter to me. But that was in the book published in '76. And then a couple of years ago at the most, maybe a year and a half ago, one of my dear friends, I think she's in the audience, Joanne, are you there? Okay. Sends me pages from a very respected, or the most respected, astronomy magazine in the United States, with an article, and the picture of the cover of the 12th planet is right there as part of the article. You know, we now have posters duplicating that original cover. And the article is written by one of the leading astronomers in the United States, in this city, in Los Angeles. And he explains pretty fairly what I say. I say that this is a depiction of the sun and the missing planet is Nibiru. It's fair. But he says, since all this is really impossible, so how about a different understanding that the central figure that I say is the sun, what looks like a star, that maybe it's the planet Jupiter. And Jupiter is surrounded by a number of moons, so maybe this is Jupiter surrounded by this. And the way it is laid out, he said, this is a depiction of Jupiter passing through the teapot of Sagittarius. The constellation Sagittarius, which, is depicted like others, with lines drawn, which is not really the way it's in the skies, but that's how it was envisioned. So there's part that if you connect the planets, the dots this way, then the British astronomers, maybe while having 5 o'clock tea, called it the teapot. And they said, so this is Jupiter, he says in a 3 or 4 page article, passing through the teapot of Sagittarius, and therefore what Sitchin says, that this is the sun and our solar, doesn't have to be the way he says it. And I get this. I read it. I say, maybe I'm wrong. And the next day, I wake up and I say, there's something wrong with what this guy says. Jupiter passing through the teapot of Sagittarius. Now Sagittarius, as I've learned, because I had to learn some astronomy for writing these books, Sagittarius is more to the south of the ecliptic, in the plane, the line through which the planets move. And some of the planets, they diverge a little. Jupiter moves almost precisely along the ecliptic. I go to my astronomy books, of course. Jupiter never moves south enough to touch Sagittarius. But maybe I'm wrong. So I wrote 2 letters, one to the astronomical people in New York and one in Chicago. And I didn't say why I'm asking, but I said, is it possible for Jupiter to pass through the teapot of Sagittarius? And I got back letters, very nicely responded, saying absolutely no, never. With these 2 letters, I write to the magazine, Sky and Telescope. And I say, reference this and this. This astronomer is wrong, and I would like you to print a correction. Nothing. Not until I threatened some legal action did I hear back, not from the magazine, they never published the correction, but from this astronomer. I get a 2-page letter that says, Dear Zechariah, I've been admiring your writings from the day you were born. blah, 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 blah. Now, as to the point you make, maybe I was too hasty in saying it's Jupiter. But still, I don't agree with your interpretation of the cylinder C. So I wrote back to him and said, you don't have to agree with me on this, but I would really like to understand what is the problem that astronomers or other establishment scientists have with accepting the truth of this Sumerian information. What is the problem? Is it a religious problem? Do you have religious problems? Is it an academic? Is it a scientific? I just want to understand, and this is in answer, the short answer to the question. I never get an answer. Nobody of those who say, nobody ever explains why. Some of them, the so-called Assyriologists, because I used to attend some of the meetings of various societies of which I am a member until I stopped, come to me and say, of course you are right, but I cannot say so. So, is it that they are afraid for their academic standing? Are they afraid to be made the laughingstock of their colleagues? I don't know. The answer is, I don't know. It does not make sense to me. And when it will end, when this attitude will end, I don't know. I really think that the mass of people who do accept the real truth will force the establishment to change its position. Why don't you read for a change?
How are the giant 900 and 1,100 pound slabs measured by humans to weigh that much if no piece of equipment can lift them?
Well, the weight is of course estimated because nobody actually took those colossal stone blocks and put them on some scale. But if you know what stone they are made of, which is easy to verify, and you measure the size, the cube, and multiply the cube by a weight, you get the total weight. There's no dispute about these weights. Nobody says, no, it weighs not 1,100, but whatever.
In Revelations, it says that Armageddon is a place, not an occurrence. Please explain what place and where and why is Armageddon today thought of as an ending instead of a place?
Well, Armageddon is a place coming from the Hebrew Har Megiddo, the Mount of Megiddo, which is just a promontory near Haifa, and the site of many wars in antiquities, because it's very strategic. And where I just said, just east of Haifa. Why is Armageddon today thought of as an ending? Because I assume so. The notion is that this is where the final conflict would take place. The prophet Ezekiel referred it as the final war of Gog and Magog. The Dead Sea Scrolls speak of the final war between the powers of light and the powers of darkness. So it's become a concept rather than only a place.